welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with our very special guest,
Andre James Gonzales.
Yay!
Sorry.
See, I would have never said the middle part. This is why I point to the guest.
Because there's two of us right now going around. There's an Andres Gonzales with a Z, and then I'm the Andre Gonzales. I just choose not to throw my middle name out there.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, like after I booked you, I was like, then the other one was here, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I booked the other one, and I looked, and I'm like, yes, I did. Okay, which is, I mean, I want everybody on the podcast, so it wasn't a problem. I just didn't want to like go and talk to him in person, and he's like, what are you talking about?
Well, the good thing is we kind of settled on who's who as far as like what name you're going to use, because you know my name is so uncommon that I never thought I'd have to change it.
Sure.
So, you know, Andre is one of probably the most blackest names you got, you know, in the entire world. And then it's like Jose for Mexicans. Sure. And then Gonzalez is the most common last name for Mexicans. So I thought, oh, cool, unique name. And then one day out of the blue, McKay hit me up. He was just like, hey, were you at ACC the other night? And I'm like, no, not really. And he's like, oh, because there's someone up there with a name on Andre Gonzalez and all, but they put Andres and all that. And I'm like, really? Like, okay, like, that's cool. Then, like, I mean, and then, of course, I had to, like, yell out, like, obscenity. I was like, imposter, who is this imposter, you know, coming here messing with my name? And, yeah, but, you know, it turns out he's way more Mexican than I am. Like, when it comes to, like, background, you know, like, he speaks way better Spanish than I do.
Well, he's
like,
an interpreter.
Yeah.
So better.
Yeah. Like if they asked me to do a Spanish podcast, I'd ask them to book him so he could at least like help me out and, you know, be like, so, and then plus there's no confusion on the name. I could be like, hey, that's you, dude. Can you help me out here? Him, yeah. And so like he has, like, he's more Mexican than me. He speaks better Spanish. He's all into the culture too. Like he has the ranchero boots and all that, and I'm like, fuck that, I'm not wearing that shit. Yeah, so I just like, hey, you know what? You're more Mexican than me. You can have Andres Gonzales, because in I don't know if it's like Mexican culture. I know in Gonzales culture, it's like
a whole separate culture.
Yeah. Like if you're Gonzales, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Where it's like if you spell yours with a Z, you kind of have this like superiority against people who spell with an S, and then like because
you didn't get corrupted.
I know they're like you're more American.
We got two Z's in our name, haha.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because like then they like play the whole like I'm more Mexican than you, and I'm like, how so? You were born in LA. What the fuck, like. Yeah, so like when it comes to like having like that last name, I was like, yeah, you can have the Z. I always spell mine with an S anyways, and plus I'm the more Americanized. I just look darker than he is.
So you changed it?
No. I've always spelled mine Andre Gonzales with an S at the end.
So that's how your parents spelled it?
Yeah.
So that's on your birth certificate?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, my dad's side of the family, they're really big on that last name kind of a thing. Like, it's kind of like that old country pride. It's like, I'm Hernandez or I'm Gonzalez. And you're just like, okay, cool. Like, I'm Smith. Like, it doesn't matter.
All right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's that dynamic between us and all that. And I think that's kind of funny because then we could play off that big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, this is good. We got through the name part.
Cool.
So... I guess would you ever use like a stage name?
No.
No,
I tried to. The thought of, because like I don't know, for a while I kind of had this like I don't like my name. Like I didn't like Andre because everybody would fuck with me. They would, like, my brother called me Andrules. Like, because I would drool in my sleep, and then plus I was the fat kid, so everything else that piled on was like, please don't add that to being a fat kid. Right. And so I got called Andrea. Andrew was cool because at least it's another boy's name and all that. And so I was like, all right, cool, that's Andrew. No, it's Andre. But it started getting annoying when I was living in Phoenix. I was working at this like cold sandwich factory back in 2002, and I was like. This is how Americanized I am. Like, when I got hired there, the guy was like, look, if you see INS, you don't have to run at all. Just stay where you're at. And I go, fuck that. Like, if I see INS and everyone else is running, I'm running too. Like, I don't know who the hell they're going to scoop up. And so, yeah, because, like, that was like when Sheriff Joe Arpaio was in and all that. And I was just like, look, that's the day I leave my fucking wallet in the car and they're like, searching people down. It's like that Born East LA Part 2 kind of a thing and all that. And I was like, nah, I was like, I'm good. I'll just run if I do see INS and all that. But no, but everyone, because
another target.
Well, because everybody else there worked there. Everybody else worked there. Well, excuse me. Everybody else who worked there, they were all like from like deep Mexico, like Jalisco. Like I was hooking up with some girl who she was like from like not Cancun, but one of the vacation spots in Mexico, Acapulco. She's from Acapulco, Mexico, and I was like, "Why?" Yeah, exactly. I'm like, "Why would you move there to Phoenix, Arizona?" And look, I like Phoenix. I have a soft spot in my heart for Phoenix, Arizona, but it's only because like I got family there. If I just landed there and I had nothing to go on, I'd be like, "What the fuck is this place? I'm out of here," you know. And so going to Acapulco, I'm like, "That must be paradise. What the hell?" Like,
well, maybe you get tired of the tourists.
Probably.
Like, you know, like I guess if you don't work in the tourist industry. Then
yeah, plus it's like they're coming to America, so it's like I'm sure like any cool vacation spot out in the world is cool to like vacation at, but I'm sure the people that live there are like, I don't want to go to America. I'm good. Yeah. It's like, you want to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma? And they're like, sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, your rights don't.
What was that?
Your rights are still good, right?
Yeah.
American rights.
Well, you know what's crazy? The job that I worked at, that sandwich place, I had because I was like the guy who would measure how much bread they use, how much cheese they use, how much meat they use. Like I was that guy who had to like keep inventory. And I had a partner and his name was Pompeo. You know, and he was a short little Mexican dude. And he had like a hand. He looked like a cartoon character of a Mexican. It just looked like whatever stereotypical cartoon Mexican you have in your head, like especially in the 50s or whatever, like drawn by Tex Avery. You're just like, yeah, that's him. And so he hit me up one day and he was just like, hey, he's like, you know what a coyote is? And I was like, yeah, I know what a coyote is. And at the time, I just barely found out what a coyote is. I had no idea what it was until like I was 20. So he was just like, you want to come with me, make some extra money? And I was like, no thanks, dude, I'm good. Like, because once I knew it was human trafficking, I was like, that's federal. I'm not messing with that shit. So, but I haven't seen that dude in like 20 some odd years and all that. And it was just funny that like out of the blue, he was like, hey, you want to make some extra cash and all that? You want to haul like 11 keys or something like that? I'm like, no, I'm good. Thanks for the offer, though.
Yeah, don't get mixed up in that.
No.
Nothing funny about that. So how did you get into comedy?
Not to sound cliche, but it's always been there for me. Like, my mom's a real funny person. My stepdad, he can be really funny and goofy, you know, in a kind of a Jeff Foxworthy kind of way. Okay. And I grew up watching like Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, The Little Rascals. It started from there, and then from there it grew on to like other stuff. And then, I mean, stand-up comedy. I just remembered how the people would react, like especially like my brother and his friends, and then my friends, and I'd be like, oh, okay, those guys are funny. Hell yeah, those guys are funny. You know, because I think one of the earliest stand-ups I can remember, like watching my brother watch and his friends watch, and like they go hysterically nuts. It was a Tommy Davidson. It was called Illin in Philadelphia, or Illin in Philly, and it was on Showtime. It's on YouTube now. If you look it up, it's a really cool stand-up, and it's really funny. But you know, it's such a 1991 stand-up, and then my brother and his friends, they were laughing and that's from there kind of like, oh, you know, I want to do it, you know, I want to do that, because if they can make my brother and his friends be cool with you, then cool, I got it. Yeah. And that's cool. Yeah, and then from there, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this on the podcast. I did stand up once when I was 15, and then again when I was 19. I bombed super hard, like ego shattering hard, which is nothing in our world now. Right. Like, we've seen the worst bombs, but sure, for a 15-year-old and a 19-year-old, and you know, chubby And the only validation I ever got was like, he's funny. And then go up there and then have the glass shatter in front of you, in front of your friends and family. Because this happened in Salinas and in Monterey. And a lot of people, like in that kind of area, everybody knows each other. Like just imagine growing up in Chula Vista by itself. And then everyone goes sees you bomb on stage when you're a teenager and you're like, fuck. Ego shattering. But I've always liked doing comedy. Like that's why I like doing like theater acting, because it's fun to do comedy acting and be a cartoon for a little bit, because on stage you kind of have to, I mean, for the most part, some people are like not as animated as they would be like if they were acting on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you ever do a character on stage?
Oh hell yeah, hell yeah! I did I played a sheep in a play that happened over at the.
Sure, in a play. I'm talking about like in a normal stand-up.
Oh, in a stand. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did. So Benji had on this kind of like this comedy tournament thing that he had and all that, and it was called like the Joke of Thrones, kind of like a play on Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
And so I came in there with like a plastic bag full of like accessories and costumes, and I told Adrian, and this is when this was at the Grand, and I told Ace Diaz, I told him, I go, hey, can you play the Game of Thrones theme song as my entrance? Mm-hmm. He's like, sure. And so as soon as I was up, I came on there. I had a crown on my head, had a bunch of rings on my fingers. I had this like $10 7-Eleven sunglasses. I had a cape on, and I had on like, my like goofy wear that I, like show off wear kind of stuff. And so I went on there, did all these stupid king jokes, like just played into characters, like, I was talking to my wench the other day, like silly shit like that. And of course nobody laughed. It bombed hard. Like comedians who were there, they laughed, but
they're laughing how bad it was.
Yeah, like they're not like, if you don't watch comedy or anything like that and you don't know anything about being a comedian, if you're in a room full of comedians and you get laughs, it's kind of like negative laughter.
Well, I mean, there can be genuine, and there
True.
also can be, they're laughing at how bad you're doing.
Yeah. It's kind of like you can't. It's like with an audience, if you hit and land, you're like, oh my god, that feels good and all that. If you're in a room full of comedians and some of them laugh, you can't tell why, and then it'll bug you.
Right. Yeah. Like usually, if the comedians are the only one laughing, it's bad.
Yeah.
Because the whole point is to make the audience, the regular audience that don't know you, laugh.
And you know what? That's the thing. If you're watching this right now and you are like debating whether you want to do comedy or not, just understand your ego is going to get kicked in the nuts several times while you're there, while you're doing good.
Right.
It's just so if that's when the best is happening, imagine how bad you're going to feel when you bomb hard.
Yeah, like Matt Eisendrath has a joke where he's like, this is what we do is hard,
Yeah.
Imagine like saying to your friends, I'm going to do a joke now. And then tell a joke.
Oh, that's hard.
And if they still laugh, then maybe you should be a comedian.
You know what's hard is when you like to tell people.
But obviously, watch Matt Eisendrath do that live.
Yeah.
That was not me trying to steal his joke. That was just a callback.
Trust me, if you're gonna watch him bomb, watch him bomb in person and all that. Like,
well, no, he doesn't. Go see him at a show.
I love you, Matt.
Go see him at a show. He won't bomb. Yeah. I guarantee it. Anyway, I just really I hope he's not mad that I said it.
This is gonna be like Tupac and Biggie beef right now, and I'm like,
this is what the podcast needs. I need to like start shit, but then people like watch it and they're like, and then they're like debating. Whoa, no, Aaron didn't really mean it, and like, well, Andre.
Comedian beef is so funny. I swear to God, it is the best thing ever because like.
Spiking
the only way I can compare comedian beef is like, did you ever go to community college at all?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever see the kids who play like Dungeons and Dragons or fucking, whatever role playing game there was and all that? And they're like the nerd beyond nerds. And their matches would
Yeah, I mean, I play Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, so
I could have been one of them. But
so
I think I just was too busy.
You ever see an intense battle between nerds? Where there's no fist throwing, but it's just like heavy breathing, not from natural causes or anything like that, but just.
Well, I mean, like I think I've experienced that. Like, God damn it! Hello? Hello? Hello, are you there?
DVD extras.
What the fuck is going on? I don't know.
We can edit this out.
No, this you don't edit.
I'm just kidding. I don't care.
Yeah. Sorry. Hopefully let me check the recording though. Just stop the recording. Oh, that's good.
Oh, it didn't?
Yeah, that's nice. It kept, because sometimes it will like stop the recording. And it's like, I have my watch that has phone capability.
That is crazy how like.
So that's what it should do.
You ever notice that crazy how your watch is connected to your phone, possibly connected to your computer, that's connected to your tablet, and it's like the littlest bugs. Like we're like, oh, damn, it's not linked up, and you're like, damn, back in 2000, we would have never thought this would have happened. It's like Demolition Man kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it has its own GPS, it has its own cell thing, so it can be separate. But then it's supposed to. Right now, it's actually the opposite, where it will say that it unlocked my iPhone and it didn't. And then when I try to use my watch to unlock the phone, that doesn't work. Oh my god. Hello? Are you there? Hello?
Aaron's on the phone right now.
Let me just go out. Be right back. Just entertain the audience.
All right.
Try to figure out where we were before we got.
Ugh. So, all right. Let me see what kind of questions he had. Have I ever traveled to do comedy? That's a quick no. Do I have a hobby and or passion that is not related to comedy? I mean, I like to draw. I like to write other things in comedy. You see my drawings. They're not super great either and all that. They're just drawings that I like to put up. Call them childish if you want. Whatever, I don't care. Do I wish you started comedy? Hell yes. Oh my god. All right.
Oh, you switched sides.
Yeah.
Oh. So what were we talking about? Whoever the fuck is calling, it wasn't the guy that's in here. He's all good. What were we talking about? Get back on track.
Fuck, my brain's.
That's fine. It's all good.
I think you would.
When did you get addicted to comedy right away?
Yeah.
After the 2 times of bombing.
I did, but I wanted to hide it. I didn't want. I kind of was I didn't like it, whatever. But just deep down, I truly did. And then we would do we'd have friends who would do roasts, and I always found that funny.
Yeah.
I've always liked roast. Roast battles are hard. They're very hard to do, especially if you're known to be the asshole in the whole thing and all that. Then people already automatically hate you.
Yeah. Well, you just have to make it entertaining, I guess.
Oh, I do. I don't care. If I lose a roast battle, if I win a roast battle, never. It's just fun to do because I'm just poking fun at my friends.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the roast of Artie Lang, and that was the one that was oh my god, blew my mind on how mean these people can be to each other and just laugh it off.
Yeah.
And so, because I have cousins that act that same way, but never in public. It's always like in family gatherings. But to see people out in the open just being that mean to each other, like, made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's cool. So do you have any roasts coming up?
Yeah, I'll be doing Peter Marshall's like crow fighting, like with his comedy entertainment or whatever. I'm sorry, Peter. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering everything right now. Apologize. But yeah, it's going to be on the 24th, and it's going to be like a little roast competition. So I'm first going to battle Thomas Mays.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're going to pit Mexicans and blacks against each other and just get it out of the way first and all that. And, once that's over, they can take over and, conquer and divide. No, it's going to be cool. Like, I'm really afraid of Thomas Mays because, like, he just roasts people every time he does like a mic at the Yellow Door. Yeah. And so I'm like, all right, this guy has a few lined up on me. All right, let's see where this goes. And then I might possibly have to battle Audrey Huber. Wow. And I hear she is...
I've seen her live.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Yeah, I've seen her on a few of those Instagram posts of roast battles, and I'm like, all right, you got to bring the heat. But, that's what comedy is. And it's fun because we're just picking on each other. We're all friends and all that. And, I hope we are. I don't want to stir any drama.
Right. That's funny. So what is your writing process for comedy?
I have a bunch of notepads. I have a shit ton of those 50-cent notepads. And they're all like mixed up, so they look like ramblings of a lunatic. Like if...
Do you have it saved in the cloud?
No, I have it. I have notes written on my phone, but I like writing stuff down because the physical act of writing things down helps me remember.
Sure.
It's like a muscle memory thing, I guess, and all that.
I found that the best, safest thing is to first write it into the cloud, and then I can just write it on paper.
Oh yeah.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I have notes.
If I don't write it into the cloud, then it's like it's all now it's homework, right? And then you don't get to it, and then you lose that.
I have it in my notes. Like I have my notes section where I'm like, okay, this is funny. Or I'll look back and be like, oh, that was stupid. I'm getting rid of that. But I have a notepad that's strictly comedy, and it has all these subjects. And then, like, let's say I forget that notepad, but I think of something that's like, oh, that was funny. You should have checked this out. Either put it in my notepad or put it on my phone. Or last but very least, put it on my Facebook and go back to it later in memories and all that. Because there's a few... jokes I've done on stage where it was like, oh, that was such a 2011 joke that I had written down on Facebook. All right, I can use that. Like,
wow, it's crazy. So I ask this to everybody. I don't always remember the answer, but it's just ask the same question to everybody. When did we meet?
Specifically, okay.
So what happened is I just appeared out of nowhere.
Okay,
or maybe
I remember seeing you all over the place before, but this is when I first started, and I didn't want to seem like I was kind of like fanboying out to everybody and all that, because like I wanted to like approach people when they approach me and all that. So I had seen you around. I had seen you do stand up a couple times, and then I remember when we first met is when. I was at Mic Drop and I was ready to put my name in the bucket, and you were there and you did something where like you're pulling the chair back and all that, but like yanking it super far back, right? You thought I was gonna sit down and all that, and I was like, okay, because I thought like you were who you were on stage, like you were just acting out, and I was just like, oh, he's always on, like okay, like all right, I can live with that, that's fine. And then, like, remember when I took you to Madhouse from the Mic Drop, and we had this like totally like normal conversation. Like I was like, yo, this dude's like he's normal, like he's. And then but I do remember you doing that, and I thought like, okay, he's because there are comics who are just always on, and you're just like, oh, who you are on stage is who you're definitely on.
I think I was just probably trying to be silly.
Yeah. Like I can appreciate that.
Oh, I think it's because mic drop is so cramped.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a great room, but it's just they just try to like put a little bit too many people in there.
It's good because it has good. It bounces. The sound bounces off and all that, and it's really nice. But like when it gets crowded, it's like man. And I normally try not to stay inside because it's hard for me to watch other comics because then I'm just like, because if they start bombing, I get uncomfortable. Like so that's kind of like my little reason why I leave. Go outside and come back in. I'm always like, rather go smoke, get my head together, and then try to watch my friends, bomb or do good, and or if it's just a bunch of if it's just a bunch of comics, I'll stay and hang out. But if there's a crowd there and they're not laughing, I'm like, I'm just like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go outside and try to like make sure I don't like do as terrible or something like that. Just try to get my head together, or at least get ready to bomb.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I've thought that too, where I'm just like, oh, I'm totally gonna bomb right now. It's gonna be terrible. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, have you ever traveled to do comedy?
No, that was one of the questions I answered when you were gone.
Oh shit!
No.
That's not what I told you to do.
No, actually, I want to, and it's just right now. I would love to go to all over the world to go travel and do it, but I have a 6-year-old son who's about to turn 7, and on paper it would sound good to go travel with my son all over the world, but in reality, in good parenting, that's not the case. Like, I have.
You could go to Disneyland and go do a show.
I wouldn't. You know what? Honestly, like, if in all fairness, and I know, I'm not. Like, I wouldn't mind not strictly doing PG comedy, but I wouldn't mind doing like clean comedy on a regular basis, especially if they're paying me to do it. Fuck yeah, like hell yeah, I'm gonna do that. Like, they're saying like, hey, you're gonna get paid like $5,000 a month to tell jokes. I'm gonna be like, fine. And they didn't even let me finish. And I'm like, all right, yeah, fine, I'll take it. And they're just like, but you got to be clean, like rated G, rated comedy. Like,
wear a costume.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, I'll do it. $5,000 a month? Are you kidding me? Like. It's like, can I just stay here too and not pay rent? Like, I'll sleep in the Disney jail and all that.
No, you have a hotel room, of course.
Have you ever stayed there at the Disneyland Hotel?
No.
Oh, you know what's crazy? It's like, I think people have this like delusional thought of like what it would look like. And I've been there once in my lifetime, and it's just like every other hotel. Like, if you take a picture of the inside of that one and like the inside of a Hilton, it's the same shit.
Right, yeah. But I guess it'd be nice if you, when the park opens, you just walk out.
Oh yeah.
The park. That's
yeah. Like, that's the thing that that's the thing about having a 6-year-old like worries me, because I'm just like, fuck, I gotta take him to Disneyland. That means, and it's not like I go to Disneyland, that's it. It's like, gotta pay for parking, gotta pay for gas, gotta pay for possibly the hotel, because that's a long ass drive. I've done it plenty of times, but it's still exhausting after a while. And so, but just going there and then hanging out, no, you got to pay me to do that. Like, at least pay me something to do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
Yeah. Another question I already answered.
Damn it. You're going to get these answers twice.
Yeah. No, I like to write and I like to draw. A lot of my, some of my drawings are on like Facebook and Instagram. I don't tout them as like the best. I just I liked what I draw, so I like to post what I do. I like to write, and not just comedy, because it's not always like funny thoughts all the time. It's always like I'm writing more serious stories, like a graphic novel of sorts, and then because these are things I've always wanted to write. I've always wanted to do movies. I've always wanted to like write my own comic books and all that. And and so and then I want to get into gardening. It's just because I've been watching videos on gardening and like growing your own plants, and I'm like, and I'm not a hippie by any sorts, but the idea of like growing your own plants and like having a backyard, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go get some strawberries right now. They're up for harvest and all that, and
that's cool. So
Yeah.
you have a place where you can do that?
Hell no, not right now. I mean, no, right now, the apartment that I stay in is just kind of like it's a little small and a little cramped up. Not cramped up, but also like my son, his mom, and 3 cats also live there, and I'll kill one of them if they like rip up any plants that I'm trying to plant. I'll just be like, you know how long this took to plant this avocado seed? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So do you wish you started comedy earlier? I mean, I know you did it 15 and 19. Do you wish you would?
Yeah. Oh no, I wish I would have continued with it. Yeah, because if I would have played my cards right, and by that I would have said like, hey, if I could jump back in time, I would just say like, hey, get a job first, and then do comedy on the side.
Right.
You know, that's what I would tell myself and all that. But yeah, so it's like that's why I feel like if I would have just done like tell myself like, yeah, you can have a job, but you could also do comedy too, and the other thing, don't act entitled. Just if you can't get that night off, you can't get that night off. Oh well, like, you know, it'll come in time. So whatever, you know, just keep working at it. But
yeah, that's cool. So what are your goals in comedy right now?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't trying to go all the way with it. Like stadium shows, going on tour, getting paid enough to say like just to do comedy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, but at the end of the day, if none of that comes true, my thing is like, look, if my son thinks I'm funny and, you know, he thinks I'm a crack up, if no one else does, I'm fine with that too. Like,
Okay.
yeah, because I mean, fame and fortune is nice, and of course that would be a lie if I said I didn't want that, but like, it's not something I'm going to sacrifice, you know, anything for. You know, it is what it is. Like, you know, when my son gets old enough and he can stay at my place by himself with the key, and you know he's not going to burn my shit down and you know not have all his friends over, fine, I'll go on tour. But you know, I'm just trying to work on my craft and just get better, and you know, hopefully, you know, like have like enough to where I'm like, oh, okay, I could record this and put this online and all that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so do you like have like a favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
I wouldn't say like, see, now I'm thinking, I don't know why, and this is just, don't ask me why, but Mike McCullough, when he does that hummingbirds joke, and he goes, hummingbirds, and that just makes me laugh so hard, because it's like, I love you, Mike, but he's one of the whitest dudes I know, and it's just like, he sounds like the dad from Rick and Morty. And so when he goes, hummingbirds, I'm just like, oh my God, that's fucking good. Like, you know, because it would be weird, like, if he was like a black guy saying it, like, hummingbirds. Like, that'd be weird. Or like some Mexican dude, like, hey, hummingbirds. You know, like, it's just a perfect white guy thing to say. And I don't know why, but it just makes me laugh. It's so silly and stupid.
Yeah, that's cool. Sweet. If you want to know that full joke, follow Mike McCullough.
Yeah.
Go see him live. So there you go. There's one of the goals of this podcast is to encourage people to go see comedy live.
Yeah. It's a lot better to watch comedy live just simply because, like, if you're watching it on TV, yeah, it is. Some comedians are great, whether they're on TV or live, but when you're in a live performance and everybody in the room is laughing with you and all that, that comedy does, it's like that, you feel that energy rather than just sitting and watching it. And believe me, like, I mean, you're talking to somebody who, you know, yeah, I watched a lot of stand-up comedy on Netflix or, you know, on video or DVD, whatever, and all that. But, I mean, just sitting in a room full of comics where someone is just killing, like, left and right. Like, you get that laughter, and maybe if you saw them on video, you wouldn't laugh at that particular by yourself. But when you're in a room full of people, oh my God, like, the energy just builds up. There's that, I always bring up this one guy, well, it's one story. He's an older gentleman. I think he's like John Bello or some shit like that, where he brings props on stage. Is that, if I'm getting your name right? Yeah, older gentleman.
Kind of does magic / comedy.
Yeah, something like that. And again, if I'm getting the name,
music too.
yeah. So he gets up on stage, and I'm following this guy, and he has this like rubber chicken, and he's doing the song at the end of Step Brothers, like that Italian song. If you're smart, you know what I'm talking about. If you're dumb, Google it. But it's like at the end of Step Brothers, he's doing that same Italian song that Will Ferrell does at the end, and he's doing it, and at first it goes how you expect. It's going like, okay, like, all right, we're rocking here. And all of a sudden you hear like people kind of like, ha 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 ha. And then all of a sudden the goes to like, ha 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 ha. And then everyone's like, at the end it was like, yeah. And I'm going like, what the fuck? Like, like I'm supposed to follow that. Like, I mean, like I'm not saying the guy was not funny. I'm just saying that like that kind of shit like throws me off. Like,
right, yeah, when you're trying to figure out why everybody's laughing.
Yeah, no, like no offense, but there's sometimes where like there's times where like I've seen you kill crowds that I never thought would give you like the time of day.
I'm still trying to figure it out too.
And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, they were totally on board from start to finish. Yeah. And he just built this whole crowd up. And the only thing I could think of, which it didn't get that big of a roar, but it kind of like allowed me to like kind of surf my way in, was the first line I was like, the fucking Catalina wine mixer. Like, because I was like, well, if I'm going to follow that, what am I going to follow it up with? Something from Step Brothers, something that everybody fucking knows. But holy shit, that guy fucking killed that night. And I'm just like, God damn. Because like if I'm following somebody who is like known to kill, like if I'm following Ragu and he's just killing and killing and killing, it's kind of like, all right, this is going to be very hard, but this is like down my lane anyway, just saying something super offensive. Yeah. You know, but if I'm following somebody who's like super nice, like just known to be this nice person, and I'm just like, fuck, what the hell? Like my whole shtick right now is to like strangle my son and to like kill his mom. Like that was my whole shtick. Now I got to do something different.
It's funny.
Yeah, well. I'm just saying this on a podcast now to just incentivize me of keeping her alive. Right. You know, so if something does happen to her, like they're gonna blame me anyway. So I'm like, all right, well, I didn't do it, but you know.
Yeah, we know right now we didn't do it.
It was like some weird like Scott Anthony kind of like where you know who I'm talking about, Scott Anthony?
Oh.
Isn't it? Wait, I may be wrong, but
it's person or something.
No, the guy. No. Scott Anthony is a comic, but I think there's another Scott Anthony where he murdered his, like back in the early 2000s in the Bay Area. He had like killed his pregnant wife and like dumped her body off a boat. I think he's on serving life right now. I don't think he's on death row. Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy how we went to that topic, but how I went to that topic.
It's all you.
Yeah, I know. My bad.
Let's change something.
And we were on the goals of comedy, so what does that tell you?
He wants to kill on stage.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
She died of a heart attack.
Yeah, I know. Fuck.
I made her laugh. What do you think? I'm not funny? So do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either like someone was a fan of you or you were a fan of someone else?
Several, yeah. Like fan interaction, if you've noticed my Instagram profile picture, it's when this one drunk lady actually got on stage and tried to like flirt with me, but she had been doing it to all the other comics. But this time I was antagonizing her. And then like she whipped her, and she was black. So the joke is like she whipped her hair on me, and I was like, oh, I would pull your shit, but I would be afraid it might fall out. And everybody was like up in an uproar. And the cool thing is I was able to sit her back down, and she became, again, a part of the audience instead of part of the show. So I just kind of like do-si-doed her into, you know, back to being an audience member. So that was cool. When I was acting, I still can't believe I remember this. I was doing a show called Detained in a Desert, which was a very serious play written by Josefina Lopez, who did like Real Women Have Curves. And if you know like Latina literature, that you'll know who she is. So she wrote this play called Detained in a Desert, and I played two characters. They were twins. And I played a character who gets beaten to death by a bunch of like right wing white extremists.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I know, right? And so, and they were motivated by a right wing. Sorry, it's kind of hard to say out loud. Radio show host like a Rush Limbaugh type or a Sean Hannity type, and so I play the twin brother of the guy who died, and I capture this radio show host, and I kidnap him, torture him, and then like leave him out in the desert.
Huh.
Yeah, and so it was like emotionally trying because I had to scream at this dude and like, and in fact during rehearsals, because I was supposed to like pretend to hit, and I've done real fighting before, like trained with boxing, trained with wrestling and all that. I'm not like some super MMA fighter. I'm just saying like I've done a few classes and that's about it. But I've been in real fights before, and when you know how to fight or at least know how to defend yourself, like it's hard to fake it unless you're trained to do so.
Right.
So I was supposed to like constantly like do this number to him and all that, and he's supposed to do that number. And it was hard. I got to admit, it was hard for me to figure it out. And when it looked good, it looked great. And when it didn't, it looked like shit. And so this one time, he moved forward and caught like this part of my knuckle, like right here. And so he was like complaining. He was like, went to the director and he was like, "Oh, I can't talk," like just making big drama about it. Fucking actors, right? And so he's telling me all, he's going around complaining, and I am fucking tripping. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm about to lose everything. Because it was the first, like, big professional job that I've got.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, there goes my career as an actor. And so I'm like, oh, fuck, and then everyone's coming up to me, they're like, thank God you did that. Oh my God. They were telling me, like, oh, he had it coming. I hate this guy so much. Even the director was just like,
That's awful.
yeah. And the director is one of those guys who's like old school Mexican type where like he doesn't like sissy lala types and all that. Like, so he liked me because...
No sympathy for that guy, I guess.
No, I mean, because look, I like the guy. I have nothing against him. He was never mean to me, like to my face. So I have no... I mean, he could have thought I was a dumb shit, whatever and all that, but he never said it to my face, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But... like actors, they can be fucking divas. That's why I like comedy, because like you don't see a lot of that shit unless you're like really high up there. Like at our level, like you don't see like somebody going like, I'm so and so, like I deserve this. Yeah. So I did. Okay, so going back, I'm so sorry I got off track, but so I went.
This is what the podcast is.
Cool.
We let it go wherever it goes.
Cool. So my fan interaction with that, I had we go out there, we do our bows, and then we stay and we talk to the audience and all that. And there's this one girl, she was from Mira Costa College. Her name was Erica. Gorgeous girl. And if she's watching the podcast, I still think you're gorgeous, but I won't date you. Sorry, but she came up to me and she did that whole like it was a weird, like it seemed like a fangirl experience because she was just like. Like biting her lip and all that, and and I'm like, hey, what's up? And then I thought like the guy that she was with was her boyfriend, but when you're acting, you can't tell whether a chick has a boyfriend or just a really gay friend that's with her all the time, because like that's how it is in acting. Like you can't tell. Like you'd be like, hey, what's up? That's your friend, right? That's your boyfriend? He's like, no, that's Trevor. That's my really, really gay protector friend. You're like, oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, so I ended up getting her number. I was talking to her. I didn't have a car at the time. So like I was in Imperial Beach, and I was going from Imperial Beach all the way to like Mira Costa College near like Encinitas, around there.
Okay.
And that's like a 3-hour bus ride. It felt, but I was like, when you're chubby and you didn't really get much at the time, when a beautiful girl hits you up and all, you're like, dude, I'll travel to the moon. I don't give a shit. Like, where are we going? Like Mars? All right, I'll meet you there. Yeah, so that was another fan interaction. And then as far as comedy, nothing. I mean, I get anxiety. when it comes to people. Now I get kind of anxiety because I'm just like, why do you want to talk to me? Like it was terrible. Did you hear that?
Just watch him. Don't interact with him.
Yeah. No, it is. Like I do see myself as I get older becoming more like De Niro as far as like interacting with other people, because they say he has like really bad social anxiety, and I'm just like, I don't mind talking to people who I'm close with. Like I'll talk to comics ears off all day. I don't care. But like if it's just a fan that I don't know and they're like really like, oh my God, you were so funny, I'll shrivel up. I'll just be like, it's like, all right, I'm going that way. I'll see you later.
Yeah, it's interesting. So what's your favorite place to do comedy right now?
Ooh, Quantum Brewery, of course.
Wow.
No, I like Quantum Brewery. It's cool. I like the fact that you can, sit outside. I actually was gonna bring my son and sit him outside because I was like, I don't know where you're gonna go right now. There's no ice cream store. Fuck it, just sit right here. That place was cool. There's always gonna be a soft spot for the Grand, even though it's shut down. Like it was.
They shut it down?
Oh yeah. That place is a ghost town. Yeah,
They're not doing comedy there?
No, not the Grand in El Cajon, not in.
In El Cajon.
Not in what, Escondido?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I think of the one in Escondido, I forget about.
Yeah, the one in El Cajon, the one that nobody wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went there a couple times. It was like not easy.
I like, you know what, I mean, I've always liked, I like this room, the brick room, especially when it was like I was deadlining on a Friday, Saturday night, and it's just a bunch of comics, and I've just been bullshitting with them all day anyway, so it's not like I'm doing anything new. I'm just basically continuing the conversation on stage. That was always fun. Plus, it was like my night of like, I'm too old to be going to the clubs. I'm too old to be, and I don't drink, so I don't go to the bars. I'm not out to go, chase tail or, go get some. I'm just like, look, I like hanging out with my friends. I like bullshitting with them. Everybody who I've met in comedy is really fucking cool. So I go up on there, I talk, relax, move on.
Cool. Sounds good. So what was your family life growing up?
My family life was easy. And when I say easy, I have friends who will tell me their childhood and all the traumatic shit that happened to them. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, yeah, my dad, he used to say this horrible shit to me. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I feel like Zach Galifianakis in Due Date, where I'm just like, no, my dad would never say that to me. My dad loves me. You know what I mean? Like, because like my mom and my dad divorced when I was real young, so I didn't really get to experience that ugly side of it. And my dad, he was never like, he wasn't an alcoholic. Like he never got shit-faced drunk and all that. I mean, maybe once in my life, but never to the point where he made me uncomfortable. My dad is, he's always been, and now he kind of admits it, where he's like, he's been the buddy type. Like he's like, yeah, I wasn't a good dad, but he was not a bad person. You know what I mean? Like he worked as a prison guard in Soledad Correctional Facility. Such a cushy job for him. Like just, sit out there on the tower and just make sure nobody escapes, and that was his job. And then him and my mom split up. Me and my mom always, like growing up, since I was a lot like my dad, me and my mom always were at contentions and all that, but nothing to the point where she never abused me. She never I love my mom to this day, so it's not like I have ill will towards her and all that. Like when it comes to being a mom, she did the mother hawk thing. She definitely was not the woman to play with. I talk about this on stage where, and this is a true story. When I was in 5th grade, I was acting up. Didn't want to do homework, disruptive, all this stuff, just being not the good kid. Yeah. And out of the blue, my mom showed up to class and sat next to me. And if you grew up in a small town like Salinas, California, just understand if I don't know you, then I know people who know you.
Right.
So when my mom showed up, they knew exactly who that was. They were just like, "Oh my God, Andre, what is your mom doing here?" Like, she's like, "Why aren't you joking now? Why are you so quiet?" Like, and I'm just like, "Oh my God, like, I want to kill her so bad." And like my mom, she did that. I remember that same year, like I had, we had these folders where we put like our quizzes and all that, and then the teacher would grade them at the end of the week. And on the folder, I drew like the Public Enemy symbol, the rap group Public Enemy, and I drew the old Ice Cube logo, which was the black and white Ice Cube logo. And my mom called the cable company and like cut out MTV. She's like, "Nope, no more MTV."
Damn.
Yeah, which means the only way I got to watch like Beavis and Butthead is if my dad picked me up on the weekends, because there was no way I got to watch like Beavis and Butthead. And all my friends, that's what they would talk about. It was like, "Oh, did you see this?" No, and I had to like lie about it. I'm like, "Yeah, oh my God, yeah, I seen that." Yeah, my mom did not play. I mean, like, I wasn't an awful kid. I just was disruptive in class.
Yeah.
But like, the reason why I never went like to juvenile hall, or the reason why I never wanted to commit crimes and all that, is because my mom would have just beat the living fuck out of me and all that. And not to mention, my mom was a cop, so like she would just like, she dealt with that shit on a regular basis. She didn't want to see her son, becoming like that. So yeah, I mean, and that's why, like, if you notice, like on my social media, I don't really advertise about me smoking weed or anything like that. And this is even, she knew I smoked weed before it became illegal, but I never advertised it because I knew that would kind of like upset her and all that. But now she knows I do it, and it's so funny because like she'll try to like, she'll be like, "Yeah, I was cool once. I smoked weed twice," and we're like, "Yeah, you're so cool, Mom. Like that's so neat you did that." Yeah. And then, but for the most part, like, my childhood was good. The only problem that I think I can say that was, like, kind of a traumatizing thing is that, growing up in Salinas, California, you're gonna know gangs. It's just the way it is. There's a huge, especially when I was growing up, there was a huge gang problem. And so, yeah. And so there would be people that are like, "Oh, you're going to jail. You're gonna end up dead." Like, that's... Nice. It's just because you could just tell by the way they live, or like by the kid they are, or whatever. You're like, "Oh, well, if you're like this now, and your parents are taking care of the problem, guarantee you someone else is going to take care of it. And it's not going to be the one you want to take care of it." Yeah. So, that was always in the back of my head, because I was like, I didn't want to grow up there. And I mean, it's not that I didn't want to grow up there. I still go there and enjoy it, but it's just, it'd be 10 times better if it didn't have that problem.
Sure.
If it was just a small little city that like, that the only popularity was like the local radio station, that's fine. But then if you add all that with joining gangs all the time, and and it's not like a street versus one street, it's like a prison gang versus another prison gang.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like, but that's why I like living in San Diego. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory? Earliest memory is, I remember as a kid, and I'm probably thinking maybe 2 or 3, because this is when my first house I was living in when I was a little baby. It was on the east side of Salinas, and it had a backyard. And I remember we had a dog named was Pee Wee, like this Chihuahua mutt thing, and all. It looked like a fat hot dog. And I was chasing it around, and I remember just like the grass not being long, but as a baby, it just looks super tall because you're a baby. Yeah. And I remember it was wet, but not because not because of like a sprinkler system or anything like that. It was just wet because of like the morning dew. And that's probably as earliest I can remember, because I can't remember leaving that house, but I do remember being in that house like once or twice in my life. Yeah.
That's cool. Sweet. So, do you do any other type of art?
Do I do any other type of art?
Besides comedy?
Drawing.
Right, you said
Yeah,
drawing.
drawing, theater, arts. If you want to count that. There's so much I would like to get into, just because I find it fascinating. It's just like if you notice on like on my Instagram stories, incredibly random. It's just things I like, things I find fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, like I love the idea of like tattoo art and all that. Like the ones where it's like a good one and it's like, wow, that's a whole portrait of Cheech and Chong on someone's back. I don't know why you got that, but that's cool. You know.
That's cool.
There's one guy who I follow on Instagram. His name like Rob the Original, and he does all these like he'll get like clippers and he'll like do like he'll carve like an Aztec like sun on a horse's like rear, like on its rear leg and all that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool. Like, I'm sure the horse didn't ask for that, but that's cool. And then he does all these ones where it's like he'll get like toast that's like burnt or whatever,
Yeah.
and then he'll put it on the wall and he'll back up and it's all these toasts that make like a picture of Tupac.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, that's cool. Like I like that avant-garde kind of art and all that. Like I have an appreciation for it.
That's interesting. Cool. So what's like the biggest audience you perform for?
I've performed, I would say La Pastorela in when I was doing the Lyceum Theater. It's basically a play where someone from contemporary times has an accident, bonks their head, and then they end up as a person who's in present day ends up in the shepherds' times. And so these shepherds are going to go see the birth of Christ, and the devils go and stop them. And it's basically like a Saturday Night Live kind of thing too. It's like if you mix that story with Saturday Night Live, where they use present day bad guys to like where the devils represent them. Like of course in the last few years it was always Trump, or it's like someone who's like what was it they did. I forgot who they did with the one when I was in it. They had like Border Patrol, as like the devils, and the devils would try to like scare the shepherds into going into hell with them and all that, and get away from the baby. And because secretly in that shepherd's flock, Mary and Joseph are with them, so they're trying to stop the birth of Christ and all that. And then like fucking excuse me, sorry, a holy war wages out, and like the devil's defeated and all that, and then you see the birth of Christ and then the star and all that. And it's a very beautiful play. I give it that much. It is a very beautiful play. Yeah. There's a piñata at the end and all that, and then they use a lot of like contemporary music to like do like a song and dance number, because there's a lot of kids involved. And yeah, so it is definitely more for the kids and all that. And we do get a huge, like, not only like a kid audience, but you get like big old audiences of just like parents too and all that, and adults. It's weird. You get like there's a comedian, his name is Michael Collier. He played Showboat in Kid and Play 3 or House Party 3, and so I saw him there and I was like, holy shit, it's Showboat and all that. And he was like, man, you're really funny as the sheep. And I was like, trust me, it wore my ass out, because I had to wear like this whole like sheep costume, and and that thing, it was like wearing, like, imagine going on stage for like, I mean, let's say 15 to 20 minutes on stage with like a little couple breaks in between and all that, but a total of like 90 minutes. Dang. And you're wearing this like outfit made out of carpet. Yeah, like I dropped at least 10 pounds doing that, because if you're playing like this cartoony kind of sheep, you gotta play into it. Like I was doing cartwheels, I was doing like I'd go into the audience and do baseball dives and all that. Like I basically turned into Chris Farley on stage. Yeah, so doing that with all just being on stage just right now, it would be kind of hot for like just 5 minutes, but like being in there 20 minutes and you're wearing a sweatsuit, oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how? Let's see. I guess. What is your best booking story? Like either you were running a show and you booked somebody, or you got booked.
I've never booked anyone, but I always think back to my first booking because at that point I was going to the Grand, and my friend Benji, he was doing all the shows, and at that point I was just a guy going to the open mics, and that was it. And then I would go to the showcases to kind of like get my face there and like, hey, check me out, I'm here, check me out. And then also like if there was an open mic either before or afterwards, I would try to get on. And so, I made friends with Benji, I made friends with Ace, I made friends with a lot of comics out there. And then, eventually people would know, hey, that's the guy who does Uber and Lyft. Like I made no bones about it. I was like, yeah, I do Uber and Lyft. I go from here, go from there. Anyone needs a ride, they can ask me, as long as it's kind of like, in my direction, you know what I mean? Or at least if they can compensate me, to go out of my way. So one day Benji hits me up out of the blue, and, I know he was doing another kind of tournament as far as like comedy is concerned, and he needed a ride to Ramona. And I was like, sure, cool, that's great. I don't mind. And because I'm like, well, if I do Uber and Lyft, I can drop him off and work from anywhere else, and then just be able to come get him whenever he's ready.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. I'll just, start off here in Ramona and all that. And then we're talking, and I go, yeah, like I bring that up. I go, yeah, we can, I'll just drop you off, and then when you're done, and I'll just hit me back up and all that. I don't mind working for Ramona. And he was just like, no, you're coming on tonight. And I was like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, like one of the comics dropped out, so I need someone. I go, okay, fuck it. Like, all right, let's do this. So I go to Ramona and I meet, Victoria Parra. That's who I meet. I meet her. And like, to me, she's like, I was like, oh my God, she's like the professional comic here and all that. And so I was kind of like picking her brain a little bit. And then, we go up there, and I'm kind of like watching everyone do their performance and all that. And I look around the crowd, and I'm like, okay, I already know who I'm talking to. Because it was this, I forgot this place. It's a trucker bar in Ramona.
Okay.
And, a lot of people, like, they want to do like comedy where it's like, it would work in a Starbucks, but not very well at a trucker bar.
Yeah.
And I know these guys. I went, like, I know these types of people. I went to school with a lot of these guys.
Right.
So I was just like, oh, like, I'm not going to call you racist like the rest of the people, but I wouldn't doubt that you put the black kid as wide receiver on your football team. Like, it's like, damn, Tyrone can run fast. Like, it's like, I know these guys. I know, like, 'cause I grew up around hillbillies. I know these kind of guys. So it's like, truck stop, cool. And it went really well. As far as like, and I know this is primarily comedy, but because of like acting, it kind of like goes hand in hand. And when it comes to acting, the best booking I ever got was I actually got to do a play with Paul Rodriguez. And if you're older in comedy, you're gonna know who Paul Rodriguez is. If you're younger, you're just gonna think he's a skateboarder. But if you think he's a skateboarder, it's his dad. And so I got to do a show with him, and it was cool because like I got to do a show with a guy who I grew up kind of like quoting his lines, and I know his movies before I met the guy. So it was cool because at first he did 2 plays, but I only got to act with him in one. The first one he did was like a Latino version of The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
And since him and the other guy who was playing the role opposite of him was a guy named Mike Gomez. And Mike Gomez, he's famous for, you ever see The Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
Okay, you remember that Mexican cop who's like, Leeds? Yeah, Leeds, we're gonna get on that. Like when he talks about the stolen car, him. So I got to like watch these 2 guys act, and because I'm the kind of person where it's like, yo, I don't care, I'll do anything, I'll do sound, you want me to sweep, I don't care, let me just be a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, it's great being on set.
Yeah, and so I was one of the like stage hands and all that, and I was like, cool, I get to work with these guys, I get to help them out. I even got to help Paul Rodriguez go over his lines, and it was cool, it was nice. I mean, anyone who knows me in comedy, anyone who knows, and if you're watching this, you know that I can talk your ears off. I can chit chat about anything. You can get me going. But when I was with Paul Rodriguez, I had to be the one with restraint. You know, because I was like, first of all, I don't want to be able to talk his ears off and get him upset with me.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, sometimes he just goes on, and I'm just like, cool story, dude. You mind getting on these lines right now? Like, you know, because he'll talk about something, and I'm just like, he'll talk about like, you know, like stories about Robin Williams or like Richard Pryor, and I'm just soaking it all in, but I'm just like, yo, if you don't learn these lines, I'm gonna get yelled at. Like, like, I'm sorry, man. Like, hey,
you're helping with the line.
Yeah, and I like, how do I tell him like, hey, can you shut the fuck up for like 2 seconds and all that, and like, let's go over your lines. But he did good. He did really well. Like, he's, you know, he's a great actor, and he can act on stage and he can act on film. But it's just like, when you're the guy who has to make sure he knows his lines.
Right. Yeah.
And it's
maybe
like,
that was just part of his process.
Oh yeah. Like, he's a professional. That's why I didn't really say anything. I never really made it a big deal. But, and then like when he did another show called The Pitch, and it's basically a play that he wrote himself, where he's talking about the experience of being Latino and like pitching your show to like a CBS or a ABC.
Yeah.
And it's kind of true where it's like, well, it is true that a lot of these like corporate shows, when they talk about Latinos, they always like, they get there, but they're never on the ball about it. Like, they're getting better about it, but before it was just like we're not all the stereotypes and all that. There's more stereotypes you can work with and all that.
Sure.
It's like a Trump joke. It's how I compare it. It's like, yeah, you can do the impersonation and all that. You can be like, hey, you can grab him by blah, 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 you know. But if you're going to impersonate him, at least do something different, or at least something that stands out.
Sure.
You know, like the last pastorela that I was working with, I was helping out with the stagehands and all that, and the guy doing Donald Trump, good impersonation. He did a really good impersonation. But I told him, I go, you know, it'd be really funny is if you got like a baby doll and cut off its hands and stuck it through the sleeves and kind of worked it like that. I go, that'd be funny because it's clever enough for the audience to like catch on and be like, what the hell? Like, are those baby hands? Right. You know, and then as they realize it, it keeps getting funnier as it goes. Yeah. You know, so, but they didn't do it. They were just like, nah, we didn't rehearse for that, so we're not going to do that. And I go, golden moment.
Yeah, you should do like a sketch with that.
Oh yeah. I do have sketch ideas that I'm writing down, and I've been writing them down for so long. Like I wrote down one where it's like it's just the family. It's a family who's farting. You know what I mean? Like something silly like that. Like I do a joke about the Animal Planet not having a first 48, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if you had a first 48 and it's like these cops interrogating this cat, you know, and then like you could tell they're taking it a little bit easier on the white cat instead of the black cat, you know. Yeah, because I just recently, one of my friends, and I did this joke on stage at Quantum and all that. I was talking about my friend whose cat, you know, passed away. That really happened that day. Yeah. And it made me, and I'm a big animal lover. That's one thing that I really, you know, I like my little secrets and all that, little tidbits about me is that I'm a big animal lover. I'll eat them, I don't care, but like I'm, you know,
better be cute.
Yeah. No, you better, hey, look, we better not be starving or else you're dead. That's it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if this was like, if it's now and I see like a deer, I'm not gonna go, you know, hunt it down and kill it like I'm in Twilight. But at the same time, like if
deer's pretty tasty.
You know what? That's the meat I haven't tried yet. But I've tried crocodile. I've had kangaroo before in Australia. Yeah, it's crazy what people eat, and then like for us, we think like that's insane. You're like, that's what they have to eat. Like that's all they got. Like.
Exactly.
Yeah, like we eat cows here because, like, I mean, you don't see cows in this area, but if you just go right over the grapevine, it's just nothing but cows. And
no, exactly.
You know,
yeah. So, what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because, like, I do have a general positive outlook on life. Because I always think like, it's not as bad as you think. Yeah, you can say that certain buckets are rigged. You can say that. I don't buy into it because the way I feel is like, look, you know what?
Well, some of those are, people. They don't always say, "Oh, well, this person like got people into the club."
Well, all I'm saying is that when I say buckets are rigged, I mean like I've never felt like I've been excluded into any kind of comedy venue. If I have, then obviously I don't know about it, nor do I care.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
like. I'm not gonna think like I don't think like when it comes to me and what's his face, Nathan Prozac fuck, I'm sorry. How do you pronounce his last name?
You're thinking of his Instagram handle. It's Donovan.
Nathan Donovan. Yeah. I've never had anything personal against him, so I don't know. When I've been to ACC twice, I've got called once. So 50-50, and
That's tonight.
yeah. And honestly, I think the worst thing about comedy is that people feel like it's this entitlement thing, where it's like you feel like people need to book you, or you feel like you're so great or you're so awesome that you deserve all this. And there are very funny comics out there. But and some of them don't get booked like they should. But them's the breaks. That's the breaks. You can't.
Also, what people have to remember is that, like with me booking, like I had to like switch to like a list. A slotted list, and I invite all these people for feature spots because the show was every week, and sometimes it would be booked for months, and then people stop asking, and then I got to remind people, hey, it's every week. There's open slots.
Yeah, but then that's
complain about not being booked, but they're not asking.
My thing is always like, look, you can't complain about your spot. You really can't, because then I'm gonna have to ask you, like, hey, let's take inventory. Are you going to this open mic? How many open mics are you going to?
Yeah. You
want to make it in this world? Well, you need to be seen. Do people pay to come see you? No? Well, then maybe you need to learn to do that too.
Right.
Like that's the problem. If people understood that, hey, look, we are in, and this is just, if you're an actor, you're a comedian, if you're a musician, if you're an artiste, if you're a sculptor, if you're anything that has to do with entertainment, your job is to put asses in seats. If an audience wants to come see you, then, the fucking La Jolla Comedy Store will call you. You don't have to call them. And it's the truth. Like, there's other factors involved, and I get there's politics. I get it. But it's like, if you are bringing in crowds of people, and I'm talking about crowds where like people are lining up and they're like, I'm here to see so-and-so. Well, guess what? They can't deny you. They're going to look stupid if they do. How much money they're going to lose because they have an ego trip? That's dumb. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with anyone in booking. I don't have a problem with anyone in comedy, period. Like, there's nobody who I see at a venue and I'll go like, oh, he's here. Like, no, I'm just like, all right, whatever. Like, I mean,
it's good.
Yeah.
Good. So do you have any merch?
No, not yet. I have little drawings that I've been doing and like ideas that I want to do. It's like the ideas I have are kind of like they go with who I am and all that. Like I think there's a lot of comedians who like there's so many good ideas for merch and all that, and I'm like, you could do it. Oh my god! Like, how awesome that would look on a shirt or something like that. And then I'm like, oh, I got to think about my own merch, and but at the same time, the reason why I don't really want to put out so much merch right now is the same reason why I don't want to put out any videos of me on stage or anything like that, because there's not enough to consistently put on of me putting on good shows enough to where people want to buy my merch. So you know, right now I'm just working on just chipping away and figure out how, you know, I can make a 10 minutes turn into 15 to 25 to 30, you know, up to an hour, and then maybe, who knows.
All right, cool. So is there anything else you want to talk about?
If you got any other questions, I'm open and all that.
Well, let's make sure we get this out of the way. How do people find you on social media?
You can find me at Andre the Giant Gonzales on Instagram. That's really it. Like I don't have, like, if you find me on Facebook, cool, but that's not really that's more of a personal thing for me and all that. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram. The Andre the Giant Gonzales is probably going to be tagged in this video anyways. Yeah, I'm not good with all that. Like I swear to God, my son is so much better at this. He's 6 years old, and like if we do a video, he's just like and subscribe, and I'm like, I don't fucking subscribe to what, dude? Like we're not ready for this shit right now, and he knows that phrase, like and subscribe, and I'm just like, that's gonna be my TikTok, because that's the one thing I am afraid to get right now. It's not because I'm some right wing, like, fucking, like, hey, China's conspiracy. It's like, I don't like it because the name TikTok sounds so stupid and ridiculous. It does. Like, like, hey, man, could you message me on TikTok? And you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, it just sounds weird.
Well, all of them sounded weird at first.
Instagram sounds cool. Like, Instagram would sound like a club that I would go to. Like, he's like, hey, you want to go to Instagram? Fuck it, yes, let's go. Like, right now. Snapchat sounds like a wannabe jazz club. You know, it's like those people. Facebook sounds really old now. It does.
But do you remember before? What was called
MySpace?
Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Like, I was so resistant onto getting on Facebook because I was on MySpace, and I was like, I don't need two of them. I just got one. You know, it's fine. And then MySpace became this like empty museum of like it's like the roller coaster, the abandoned amusement park that nobody wants to go to. Is just like, yo, I think that place is haunted. Like,
right.
Yeah. No, but I already said if I get a TikTok, I'm gonna just let my nephews and nieces have at it and be like, look, just nothing racist. Don't get me canceled, and just put my shows up. Whatever else you want to post is fine with me. I don't care. Like,
oh boy, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it is meant for, I don't know. I feel like it is meant for like women and children. It's just when I see a guy on there, like, and I mean, unless he's a comedian or an entertainer, but even that's like crossing the line where it's just like if you're a dude with a TikTok and you have nothing to do with entertainment, I'm like, you should be arrested, like, immediately. Like, it just...
Well, everybody's algorithm is different. You know, the thing about TikTok in China is that they're teaching them stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's very educational.
Yeah, that's crazy how it's like that's the, like, you know, you're being fed poison, but you're like, but I want to dance, like, I still want to dance, and you're like, yeah, but you could do that on Facebook, like, fucking old people, gross, you know. It's like, you can go on Instagram or Snapchat, it's like, only bad babies on Snapchat, nobody goes on there, you know what I mean? Like, I still say I like Instagram. I think it's cool. I go on stories. I look at people's stories all the time. I feel like I comment on other people's stories a little too much sometimes. Like, I'm just like, I just want to conversate. Like, I'm sorry. Like, sometimes I get like, I start conversating with people and I realize I'm talking to them too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to bother you. It's just, I'm bored. You know, like, I'm bored right now. Do you mind talking to me?
Right. It's kind of interesting how, like, if you message someone about their story, it goes the same place that you would just message them, like, direct message.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
And I send people videos like there's some people where I've sent them videos where it's like it's cheeky stuff, or if it's more offensive, I send it to like the boys and all that. But like if I send somebody like a bunch of videos, it's like, oh, it's funny, blah blah blah. But then when I get the one, it was like, why did you send me this? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. Like, it was a kid falling off a skateboard. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting because, like, it will change your algorithm. You know, people send you stuff and then you watch it, and then that's kind of
my son is on my
algorithm more like theirs.
Oh, my son fucked up my YouTube algorithm because like he loves like all that shit you hear with like young kids when they talk skippity or whatever and all that. I know exactly what they're talking about because my son is in that age range where like he goes to school with like middle school kids, so he hears all the slang and all that stuff, so he's speaking that stupid shit. And like I'm just like, yeah, I know what that is, dude. Your mom's mad because she's confused right now. She has no idea what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're saying, but you know, this shit's confusing and it's messed up my whole algorithm. Like, so I'll get like, you know, those ASMRs ASMRs of like somebody cooking. I'll do that. Like, I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. It's disgusting that he's eating it too. That's pretty disgusting, but whatever. And then it'll be like, Bill Maher just got red pilled. Here's why. And something like that, or it shows like some gorilla like pounding on his chest or whatever and all that. And then next thing you know, it's just like this weird YouTube cartoon looking thing and all that, and it has like some creepy song. And then like right now my son is he's interested in this one where it's called like Mr. Incredible Becoming Uncanny. How I describe it, it just sounds like it sounds like it's written by somebody super high, because it's a picture of Mr. Incredible, and then it shows like it gives like a topic like a house or something like that, and then it shows like a white picket fence and a fucking house, greenery and all that, and it shows Mr. Incredible and all that, and then it shows like another house that's like where the grass has grown a little bit and it looks like it's not kept up, and it shows him like, and it shows it like the picture like more traumatizing, and then it gets to the end and it shows like the shack and all that, and it shows like the skull and all that, and I'm like, what the hell are you watching? What is this, dude? And now it's on my feed, and now I get to watch this stupid shit. And yeah, he likes that. He got me to follow this dude named Captain Tate, who he goes on Roblox and he does all these games, and he's funny, but he's funny like the same way like a Jehovah's Witness would be funny. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, it's funny, but it's not like, he's not like, you know, making them laugh and, you know, by telling a dick joke. He's like, oop, I went poopy, like that, you know, something stupid like that, and it makes little kids laugh, but it makes my son laugh. And then here I am going like, fucking, you're clean, whatever, I don't care, like. And that's the other thing about being a dad. Your algorithm's gonna get fucked up.
Well, really, what you're supposed to do is create a separate account and make it a kid's account.
No, you know,
what you're supposed to do.
You're supposed to, but you're gonna realize that you judge when you don't have a kid. You judge other people. Like, I wouldn't leave them in the car, or I wouldn't do this, or I wouldn't smoke a bowl in front of them and all that. And then when you have a kid, you're just like, yeah, they should have two accounts, but you know how fucking much time it would take for them to log in and log out when they just go on mine and fuck up my algorithm? Who gives a shit? I'm telling you, there are some times where it's just the simplest things. It's like, you don't understand how much fucking work that takes. Like when I've had people come up to me after a show, and I would talk about leaving my son in the car. And people were like, you should never leave your son in the car. And I was like, yeah, but do you know how fucking much time it takes to unhook him, fucking take him out, pray that he's not screaming? You're carrying a 40-pound little baby inside this, like, you know, 60-pound little thing or whatever. Well, not 40-pound babies. I'm talking about like a 15-pound baby and a 40-pound little thing. And you're moving around, and you're going like, excuse me, and you're trying to like squeeze it in so you don't knock over the candy aisle. And then, you know, you get yourself what you need. You're carrying it in one hand like this because you don't have a because you're not smart enough to carry a basket either and all that. And so you carry this, you know, you got ice cream, you got a sandwich, you got two things of Bang because they're two for $5. You put that in there, and you're trying to like mouth like a bag of chips in there, and then you put it on there. And you still got that baby who's not crying yet, and you put it on there, and you're like, hey, can I get 2 packs of Swishers, please? Bag that all up. And then your arm is like progressively getting tired. Like you're just doing this whole flexing thing, and you're kind of like sinking down. Like That's why, like, when I see like homeless people on the street for doing this all day, I'm like, were you carrying a baby like I was? Because that's how I feel sometimes. And then you gotta put everything back. You gotta put everything in your car. You gotta put the baby back in your car. And there's times where like you don't want to hook your baby back in the car. You're just like, well, he'll survive. We're just going down the street. And then you gotta like put the thing in there, and then it's not easy to find the goddamn the seatbelt.
Fuck.
What's that?
Stupid alarm.
That's funny. That's like your Oscar wrap-up music.
No, it's just like, it's like my wake-up alarm, and it's like, well, I'm awake. I changed it once, and I guess I could have just... I gotta remember, even though I tell it I'm awake, it will just fucking still go off.
Yeah,
it's obvious I'm awake. I'm recording a fucking video.
Yeah, I got my alarms for 6 o'clock, 6:30, because I have to wake up early just to make sure my son gets up. And I hate waking up early. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I try to be that guy. Like, you ever watch those motivational videos and they're like, you know, hey, if you want to start your day, you start the day off at 4:30 in the morning. And you're like, fuck you. Like, hell no. Like, I go to sleep at 2. What are you talking about? And then it's like when somebody talks about like reading and they're like, I read 5 books a night. And you're like, ugh, gross. I don't want to read any books at night. And then like, so now because my son starts school at like 9 a.m. and and I have to be at the bus stop at 8:30. And so I'm just like, yo, hurry up, dude, hurry up. And it's bad enough where I have to wake up, but then I got to wake up a kid who doesn't want to wake up either. You know, and I'm just like, get up. But the good thing is he's still at that age where he's excited to go to school. He's like, waking up, like, what's up, Dad? We ready to go to school? I'm like, thank God, dude. Because like I had a nephew, he would like yell and scream just to have people leave him alone. And I'm like, I told my son, I go, fuck that if you think you're doing that shit. Like, hell no. Like, I will throw water on you. I will throw ice upon ice upon ice on you like I was Mr. Freeze. Like, hell no, you're getting up, dude. And that's another thing, too, because I know parents would be like, that's kind of messed up. I go, no. It's like, you got to be like, you got to, you know, snap. You got to, come on, dude, let's go. Let's get ready. Oh.
Yeah, all right. So, I mean, I could talk to you for hours, but I do have a few other things to do.
Okay.
All right. Are you gonna call the Comedy Store?
No, because it's hard. I stay in IB and I don't have my car, so it's really hard. So I'm gonna go to Ace's thing tonight at the Galley by the Marina. 6:45 is the show. Stay till afterwards for the beach show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but no, I like the La Jolla. I mean, look, I have no problem with going to any clubs, whether it be ACC, La Jolla Comedy Store, Mic Drop, any of the comedy places and all that.
Yeah.
But it's just because sometimes I like going to mics where it's just easy, where I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna get up, great, lovely.
Right.
Like I like Mikey Red's Monday night show he does, it's good.
Yeah.
Carla does a great one on Wednesday. Ace has his on Tuesdays. What's on Thursdays? Oh, the Quantum.
Oh, Thursday is canceled.
Oh,
this Friday, Saturdays. Now.
Okay, well, take a
but,
break.
You got Yellow Door.
Oh yeah, you got Yellow Door on Thursday. Oh my God, that one I have to time out because.
It's kind of late.
Yeah, because I remember I was stuck at 12th and Imperial waiting for that 901 to show up, and because I'll take the 901 over to Imperial Beach over through Coronado. And it was the last bus, and I'm just like, you better come. Fuck that bullshit. Like, because I don't know. Do you have the app, the MTS app, whatever?
That one always sucked. I got a car almost a year ago.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I saved up, and then I was able to pay with cash.
Man, shit. Yeah, because that's where I'm at right now. Like, I have my car. It works. It's just not registered, and. I can drive. I know how to drive without getting pulled over. Like, it's just something I've always been good at. You know, I know what streets to take, which ones not to, which one, like how to like stay in front of a car without a cop behind me and all that. Just like all the little things I could do to not let them see my license plate. But I'm like, yeah, but shit can happen at any time. And last thing I want to be is like hit by another car, even if it was their fault. And then all of a sudden now I'm like fucked up because I can't, car wasn't registered and it wasn't insured and all that. So.
Right. Yeah, cars are expensive.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. But, that's the problem. It was like, I love doing Uber and Lyft. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. I had so many different, now that's a topic I can go on for hours about, just the people in my car. Yeah. Because I was doing it from 2017. Yeah, 2000. It was right before my son was born, 2017, and then up until last year. And so I mean, a lot of shit went down between those. That was when like Trump started office. That's when and I was doing it during coronavirus and everything like that, and just hear how people talk. It was crazy. Yeah. The reactions I got with Corona, just when they told customers you didn't have to take off a mask, or you can now take off the mask. Like the reactions were crazy because I was like, look, I'll wear the mask if you want me to wear a mask, but I was never the guy who was like, oh, I need to wear 2 masks and all that shit. I was just like, if I have to, I will, but I'm not going to make a big deal about it. Right. And so I kept mine on because they were like, because I gave it a few days when they said when the drivers didn't have to wear it no more. I gave mine a few more days until I took mine off, just to let the customers feel comfortable and all that. And so what I would tell them, I'd go, hey, look it, Uber and Lyft said that the customers don't have to wear it. It's your choice. The choice is optional. It's fine. You don't have to take off your mask. And the biggest reaction or the more common reaction was, well, thank God they took it off and set it on fire and all that. They were glad to take it off. Yeah. And then you got some people who are like, no, it's okay. I like wearing the mask. And I was like, that's fine. I don't care. And then I remember there was a few people, one in particular, he made me laugh because he was just like, oh, well, if you think I'm going to take off my mask because what Trump appointed judge said, you have another thing coming. And I was like, I'm not the fucking judge. I don't give a shit. I said it was your choice and all that. And just his reaction, just getting all worked up, I was like, good God, man. Whatever argument you have, you're not winning me over.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
so what are you doing for work now?
Right now, for a while, I was doing, I was selling Obama phones, which, fuck, that was hard. That was rough right now. And then, doing sales, that was rough and all that. But now I do little odd jobs, here and there. I'm looking around right now because just when you're driving for that long, it was really hard to put a resume out there, and so I'm just like, fuck, got to handle some shit with my license, got to handle some shit with the registration and all that, and because there's a lot of things I couldn't pay for when I lost everything and all that, and so just been paying debt right now, doing little odd jobs here and there and all that. If people need me to take them anywhere, and they'll let me use their car and all that, and so which is fine. But for steady work, I ain't got nothing yet right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that changes.
Oh yeah, that'll change.
Cool. Well, I'm getting kind of hungry, so I have to end. But thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
This has been Comedy or Worse.
Yeah.
Say bye.
Bye.